Welcome to Tom on parameter sets. Parameter sets in DataStage are basically sets of parameters that are going to take the place of parameters as we use them today. The advantage of parameter sets is that they contain, one advantage of parameter sets is that they contain all of the parameters that are used over and over in one place so that they can be easily included in a job. Not, for one thing, they don't have to be constantly redeployed. So we don't have files sitting in a directory with the same parameter value for different parameter names over and over for different jobs. And so this is a parameter set. This, as you can see, is the government programs, and I misspelled that with a D, but is the government programs. It's easier to see here. Government programs Sybase secure parameter set. These are the parameters: Sybase user, Sybase password, and as far as username, password, that might have to be handled differently, but still with parameter sets, I'm not sure, but right now this is what it looks like. Okay, so this is what's included in the DataStage environment. This is what's included on the DataStage engine. This is this left-hand column, value file name, is the name of the file which contains the parameters out on the server, and this column header, as you can see, says Sybase user. This is the user. Sybase password. This is the password. If you were to add more parameters to this parameter set, those would also go into the values file, or you can add another values file for those different parameter values. So anyway, this is a look at the parameter set as it sits in the parameter sets folder out here in DataStage. This job is the Silver Sneakers job, which I have changed to include those parameter sets. So if you look in the properties of the job in the sequencer, you can see that the parameter sets are included here. Now the advantage is, the disadvantage right now of course is that we don't have anything deployed for parameter sets right now, and so there will be some deployment that needs to take place to get those parameter sets in place. And of course in the future, no matter what, there'll be some additions, there'll be some changes, but generally for the basic set of parameters that we use in a Sybase job, or sorry, in a DataStage job, they will be included in these general parameter sets. And so if you include the parameter set in the job, you have access to those parameters. Just like an environment variable or anything else that's out there, you just include it in the job, you have access to it. You don't have to deploy it. You don't have to enter them every single time. You just pick them and you use the parameters which are included with them. And so as you can see here, this has nothing but parameter sets in it coming from anywhere. There's nothing coming from the server. These are all parameter sets. They are coming from the server in the way that there's a, like I said, there's a file version. I can view a parameter set here. This values file is out there on the server, but it is built from this interface, from these parameters, and put out there in the file. It's not required, but I think this file is probably going to be coming into place in the deployment process somehow, and Scott's going to be working on the deployment process, which is the actual issue right now with parameter sets, so that we can deploy these parameter sets where we need them in the right environment with the right value for where they're at. Okay, now as you can see, I want to show you an example here real quick. Right now I have prod in here, but I'm going to change this once I get it to come up. Oh, I can't do it from in here. Sorry. Let me go out here real quick And let's see, that was a Sybase General. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to seal. This is a Sybase Secure. This is a Sybase General for government programs. Open that up, and we have access to the values and the parameters. Now, and we can also add parameters in here, which will then be added to the parameter set and be accessed by the parameter set. The values here, as you can see, this one for that's out here in data stage is prod1 gen ASE. Okay, say we're testing, we want to test in prod, or you can change this one to be PPMO. Oops. Say okay on that one. And this is pretty cool, I think. So when I go to run the job, and nothing's changed except for the parameter set, right? So the job is not changed. We don't have to change anything in the job. Well, in order to compile, if you add any parameters, in order to access those parameters, you do have to recompile the job. But in a job that's deployed to prod, you of course are not going to need to access a new parameter unless you've made a change in the code, at which point it'll be recompiled anyway. And so when you run the job, and I'm not going to actually run it, I just want to show you what's available here. So the Sybase General parameter set is here. Right now it says as predefined. These are the values that we have chosen to use. Now if you want to change that, so say that I'm in test and I want to do it differently, and this would probably be set up the other way around, but anyway, I want to do it differently. You can choose this one, and it's going to pick your ppm1 params to test with, and then actually this, since this is the name of the file that's out on the server, these are the ones that would actually be picked up when you run from Unix. But but the point is you can change this. So if we want prod, there we have prod. If we want PPMO, then we can change to the file, and there's PPMO. Or you can simply change these yourself right here, and it'll run with those parameters. And then when you are ready, if you need to change a parameter set, if you have a new parameter set, which generally we shouldn't have too many new parameter sets. We might want to add something to a parameter set only if the value of a parameter is different than some parameter that's already in a parameter set. So like emails, we send to a lot of different email groups. Right now I've got mine coded in here, and that's in both of these, so that's no different. But if you needed to add an email group, then you can add an email group. Then of course that parameter set would have to be redeployed. Getting the parameter set deployed as far as these files here in the parameter sets directory is as easy as exporting a job. So you export data stage components, you choose these objects from the parameter sets, and then you can export them. And here's an example of one of those files that's been exported. This is the government programs NAS parameter set. So you can see down here the values in the parameter set. This is the parameter set, and the comments, and then here is the actual parameter for the CMS NAS directory. And it's all right there in the DSX file, which can be put into Harvest and deployed that way. The issue that Scott's going to be working on is, okay, so if we, depending on the environment, what is the value we want? So obviously this isn't going to work, and we have to have it in the code when we deploy it, which value we want to use, which is going to change on the way up. And so that is the issue that Scott is going to be working on. I don't think it's going to be a big issue. We're not the first entity to be running in Unix, running data stage. There's no question about that, and so it's just a question of getting that deployment process pinned down. But once we have that down, the use of parameter sets is going to streamline. It's going to just make the whole parameter issue much easier to use. And some of these files might be pretty big with different parameter values until we finally figure out that, yeah, we pretty much included everything and everything can go along, and then just bring that parameter set in and use the parameters from it. No worries about deployment, it's already in there, and that issue is taken care of, and it makes your job look a lot cleaner. I think that pretty much covers everything on parameter sets. If you have any questions or comments, just let me know.